We've got some
Hey, I'm Luis.
And I'm Luis.
And you're listening to the Content is Profit podcast.
Listen.
We spent the last 4 years learning the strategies and techniques from some of the top marketers in the world on how to create content that turns into profit.
If you'd like to learn more how to turn your content into profit, go to contentisprofit.com.
Yeah. Guys, today, how artists can also build successful businesses. That's pretty cool. And by the way, I did stutter a little bit in the intro today.
It's all good.
Dang it.
It's all good. It always happens. I think it's part of the brand already. So
It is.
before we get started, please go ahead and subscribe. Smash that subscribe button and follow us on social media at BizBrosCo.
That is right, guys. And if you find this episode impactful, please don't forget to share it and leave a 5-star review.
Yeah. So let's be real. The way we offer our service today, it was in some way inspired by today's guest. All it took was one question, but more on that later. Today's guest we met while curiously peeked into a photo shoot he was doing. His energy filled the room.
Dude, he was awesome. Today's guest is an artist and an entrepreneur. He has both left and right brain powers. Let me tell you guys, he is not only a great marketer, he knows how to work a camera. Clink, clink. Every person we saw getting photographed by him looked so comfortable in front of the camera that they could have been the next Rolling Stones cover picture. True story.
He has worked for Fortune 100 companies such as Salesforce and Microsoft, and he has also built his own business from the ground up. He is the host of the Creative Entrepreneur Blueprint podcast, which launched as a top 80 podcast last year. He also teaches creatives how to make passive income, but most importantly, he is a dad of 2 awesome kids that challenge him weekly.
That's right, guys. Please welcome the creative entrepreneur, awesome dad, and the photographer that will bring out the best in you, Mr. Nathan Freitas! Let's go!
Welcome, Nathan. Welcome, my man.
Dude, I love the energy. Let's go!
Wow, I'm honored to be on the show. I don't wear hats a lot. My hair looks like crap, so you're gonna have to deal with this.
It's
okay,
all
man.
good. For those listening, guys, please go ahead and go watch the video because the way that he just entered this digital stage was amazing.
Yep.
And his energy just like goes all over the place, and we're feeling it through the screen right now. So Nathan, completely excited, very excited and super honored to have you here, man. Thank you for coming and making time for us.
Dude, thank you. I no joke. That is the best intro, the best energy. I'm honored to be here.
Yes.
Let's rock.
We've had this a long time coming, right? I mean, we've been talking since that one event. It's like, hey, we got to do something together. And finally, we're here.
Yeah, man.
It was crazy. Do you guys remember how we met, by the way?
Yeah. I remember I saw this room full of people and the music, the energy I was like, what's happening in here,
It's a party going on.
One of your assistants, she came out and she's like, hey, how can I help you? She was super nice. And we started talking and then she called you and immediately, I think we connected pretty well.
Oh, it was instant.
Yeah.
It was instant. I remember you guys speaking in and I ran over. And what was really cool for me is, and we'll talk a lot about this, I have spent a lot of my life with these limiting beliefs. And so that experience that you guys were witnessing with me actually like tapping into my true self, right? So I was in flow state. There was no ego. And yeah, we hit it off right away.
Yeah, I wanna paint the picture for the audience here, right? Like we're in this conference we went to a conference, and 2 days before we went to like a mini conference, right? And in like 2 rooms down this mini conference, there was this room full of music, party, like food. People were having a blast. They were coming out of that room like laughing, like, oh my God, I feel so good. And we're like, oh my God, what is this? Is this part of the mini conference? And it's like, no, it's not part of the mini conference. Okay, so Fonzie's like peeking in, and that's when like you come out and like this amazing hair, like perfectly combed, like style. I'm like, I wanna like be that guy. I'm like, oh my gosh. And
Like,
then,
is he the model or the camera or the photographer, right?
and I'm like, oh my gosh. So, and the people that were like on the other side of the camera, they were having such a great time.
Yeah.
And usually that crowd, which is full of entrepreneurs, people that might not be as comfortable in front of a camera, were having a blast. And these pictures were coming out like glowing, amazing. And they were so happy. And we're like, we gotta dig in and find out, you know, how he does that and why he does it, especially the why he does it.
Yeah, I think something that caught my eye was that people was leaving the room happier than they were coming in, which it's big, you know, like that just talks on the delivery of the product. So
yeah, dude, it was great. So I'm just happy. And you know, we said in the intro, like you kind of started, you know, the way that we do business right now because we were exploring who that dream client for us as a company was, and we're having these crazy experiences. And you were like, well, if I were to hire you guys, how much would it be? And we'd turn around and we're like,
whoa,
somebody like him could be our dream client. We never thought about it with like the business and the entrepreneur and people that are already producing content. So thank you. We just want to thank you publicly because you set us in this path. So very excited, man. So for the audience, who's Nathan? Like, what did you do now? You know, we said a little bit on the intro. So like, who are you, man? Like, what's that fire inside of you?
The fire inside of me is to teach creatives how to make a lot of money. That means photographers right now. It could be painters, it could be bloggers, but it is anyone out there who might have this limiting belief that, you know, you got to kind of starve to fulfill the art side of your life. It's bullshit. I think, and the epiphany I had 2 years ago was that not only could you make an incredible living, but you could do it by being an artist and by teaching others what you intuitively do. Mm-hmm. And so I have this, I would say it's I don't know, I'm kind of blessed with this ability to think both artistically and as an operator / business owner, right? So I can take big concepts, I can break them into consumable pieces and act out on those, right? Execute on those.
Yeah.
And that's a unique skill set that I have. And I want to take that and distill what most artists or creatives think of as complex topics when it comes to running a business, you know, running a profit and loss sheet. Like, how do you actually run a successful business?
Yeah.
And so I want to take my passion and my skills to distill that down into consumable pieces for artists that allows them to make a lot of money doing what they are born to do, which is create.
Yeah. I love that take, Nathan, because, you know, we often see, you know, the artistic person like out there with their craft, and the story is like they always have to do something else to be able to like do their artistic passion. And now what you're talking about here is they don't have to worry about anything external. They can just focus on what they do and they love.
Yes.
Because these things are teachable, and then they can execute on both sides without having to sacrifice time and actually do what they love to do. Am I right?
Yep.
Dude, amazing.
Yeah. And I know there's, as someone who's listening or watching this, I get it, right? Limiting belief right now is you're saying to yourself, yeah, but what if I'm not built to, you know, manage my balance sheet, or, you know, I'm not an accountant, or I'm not good at sales, I'm not good at marketing, and I'll never be good at that. Mm-hmm. That's totally fine. But it's important for you as a creative to understand what makes those things work, and how to hire someone to fill that spot. What I see time and time again is these creatives, they just get drained at trying to do it all. And because they're stuck in this creative space, they don't outsource appropriately, and they're shooting themselves in the foot. So I get it, right? This is these concepts that I'm going to be talking about and that I preach about, they are simple, they're not easy.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I think the outsource parts resonate with me. Especially, I think, you know, I got into photography a while back. Honestly, nothing like your photography, and videography as well. And I remember that when I was pretty like jealous of my own work, you know, I was like, yeah, I want to do it myself. All this, I want to make sure everything is perfect, right? It looks good. So I think that for a while translated into the business as well. And then I was struggling to delegate certain tasks that I should have delegated a long time ago, right? And I think it wasn't until we let go of that it actually started gaining some traction and growing. So that's pretty important for those listening right now. I'll say check yourself and be like, okay, am I being way too jealous with all my things, or is there anything that I can delegate right now that is gonna help you probably even free more time to do what you want, right? And dedicate your time to that one artistic side.
Nathan, what was the moment that you realized that, like, hey, your passion, obviously photography and making like people feel amazing and look amazing, and there's obviously more to that. But like, when was the moment that you're like, hey, I need to transition my mindset, and my belief is just being like crushed right now, and I can actually do this. Like, when was that moment for you?
Yeah, it's funny. That question is, I was vibrating on this level of this topic that this question addresses. So Fonzie, as you're talking, we're talking about, outsourcing, this idea of outsourcing.
Yeah.
And any change in someone's mindset or business typically comes through a force, right? And that force tends to be a moment of incredible challenge or slight challenge, but it's going to be challenge, right? There's some sort of angst. There's some friction that comes up and someone says, I can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
And then they make a shift. And so for me, to answer your question, I had that moment. Woo, I can feel it, dude. I can feel it. Yes. I emote, by the way, through tears. So if you're watching,
it's hitting off. I love it. I love it. Hitting up.
Yeah. And this is why I'm passionate. So the moment this hit me, like for real, I have I'm 38 now. So I'll be 38 in November. And I have spent the majority of my adult life, right? I was married at 24, had a baby at 24, and was starting to work at Salesforce.com. And I had a lot of pressure on my shoulders to be the sole breadwinner. I didn't want to just survive. I wanted to thrive. And my history, by the way, before I got into Salesforce, I was a drummer. So I was touring around Nashville and kind of eastern part of the United States. And I had this vision of being a professional drummer. I had built up a website. I was out there hustling. And then at one point, I saw these other drummers not living the life that I wanted. And I said, the art is not for me. I can't make the living that I want. So, and again, fast forward, I'm now married. I've got a child. I'm working in San Francisco in the Bay Area for Salesforce.com, which was probably one of the hottest startups in the Bay Area. They had just gone public.
Yeah.
So it's about 5,000 employees, and I'm working with them with a bunch of type A go-getters. So I'm getting up at 5 a.m., working out a little bit, hopping on my bike, riding to the train, taking the train into San Francisco, working until 6, 7 o'clock at night, getting home at 8 or 9, holding my kid, putting him down to bed, and then maybe hanging out with my wife for a little bit, and then going back to work again, because that was kind of the nature of my job. And so that was like my early years. And I started to grind from 24, right? And I was grinding. And it was great because the benefit of that. Get a promotion, I get more sun. You start to kind of live this life of.
Sorry, you got cut off a little bit.
Am I choppy?
You got cut off a little bit.
We got you back.
There we go.
I'm back. Where did you guys lose me?
We started to grind and at that age.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, I'm grinding at a very, there's a lot of pressure on me at that point.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm sharing this is because for you to understand where I am today, you have to understand where I came from. Mm-hmm. And I'm not at all saying that, my life has been like some tragic event, but what I've gone through has formed me, and it's filled me with the passion that I have today.
Yeah.
So I lived this corporate life. And I was constantly looking at, in my mind, I was going to be a chief marketing officer for a publicly traded company, a tech company.
Yeah.
That's what I thought I was going to do. And it was about 13 years I'd worked at Salesforce.com. I had 2 children at this point, and my wife and I decided to move back to Nashville, which is where her family was.
Yeah.
And I was going to take this, I left Salesforce and I started to work for this startup. And again, my whole mind is like, you can't make money doing art even though while I'm working at Salesforce, I'm shooting weddings with my wife. I'm putting together like these really high-end editorial styled photo shoots. I was shooting with film, analog cameras, like learning from the best. I literally was taking everything, all of like my networking skills. Like I would go and find like the most amazing film photographer and shoot him an email and say, hey, can you coach me?
Amazing.
So I'm doing all of this in tandem, right?
Yeah.
But again, the limiting belief is, I can't lean into that as an artist. I can't be a photographer because I need to make money. Okay. So I moved to Nashville. I started working at this company, and this is where life just had a beautiful way of showing me that I was going the wrong way. I got fired within the first 10 months of taking on this role.
Wow.
Never been fired in my life. So here I am coming from the Bay Area. I've got ego to here, right? My shit doesn't stink, right? I pee champagne. It's like literally, no joke. That is what you think coming from a company that's so amazing like Salesforce. Yep. So I get fired. My ego is like just shocked.
Yeah.
6 months after that, my wife, who was like the person that rocked my world, she was like, I don't think I love you like a husband.
Wow.
And we ended up going through it. I ended up going through a divorce. I literally watched the woman that I loved leave. Yeah. Right.
Wow.
And so here I was. I didn't have the job that I thought I was going to have. I was losing this marriage. I had moved out of that house and I was now living in a condo. I had a Porsche 911. I sold the Porsche for a Prius. You know, Luis, you talked about my hair, right? You noticed my hair. I cut that off. And so here in a matter of 6 months, I had gone from knowing who I was to that completely being shocked. I didn't know who I was anymore. I didn't know what it meant. So my point is, it was in this moment of like grief and pain where I was just left with myself.
Yeah.
And I had an opportunity to really dig in and see what it meant to be me. And so as I grieved and as I spent time with myself and I did less, one of the things that I did more of was I started to dance.
Wow.
I fell in love with moving my body and doing things that made me uncomfortable, which is stand in a room with people that are amazing dancers and just be like, screw it. Right.
Yeah.
The ego was done at that point. It was done. It had no power over me anymore. I was like, well, shoot, I've been living my life this way.
Yeah.
And it didn't work. So I'm going to do it complete opposite way. So then I just started doing the complete opposite. So when shoot, I'm sorry. I know this is long.
No, it's good.
We're like completely sucked into this story. It's so wonderful because it shows how you rose from the ashes, like literally.
Yeah.
And we can see the emotion in your eyes and how passionate you are about this. So I think there's a lot to learn from the story and your path.
Perfect. I will wrap it up here, but I'm glad you're still tracking with me. I'm glad this is helpful.
100%.
I started to do the exact opposite of what I normally did. So I was very type A, and I was very much a planner. I'd hired life coaches. I'd been working for them for 10 years, 7-year plan, reverse engineer where you want to be. What are you going to do, the next week? Holding myself accountable. That is how I lived my life. I approached my marriage that way, being a father that way, my business, my fitness, everything was dialed the F in. And it didn't work. It didn't get me where I wanted. I had attributed my self-worth to things I had no control over. So here I was, starting to dance. I was starting to do the things that I would not normally do. So I sat and I read fiction. It sounds silly, but it's the first time in my adult life I read a fiction novel.
Wow.
And I started shooting more. I said, you know what, screw this. I launched a photography website. NathanFreitasPhotography.com. Go check it out.
Yes, please do. Amazing work.
Thank you. So I launched that. I reached out to modeling agencies in Nashville. I was like, listen, and actually at the time I had this obsession with the male form. I was like, listen, I want to photograph male models. There's enough female models on Instagram. I'm not really worried about that. I want to show the beautiful side of a man. And I think it was interesting because it was tapping into this side of me that wasn't just an artist, but I was vulnerable at the time as well, right? So I was like, I want to show the vulnerable side of a man. I ended up photographing like ballet dancers, like just in their underwear, doing these crazy movements, like bold black and white photography. And anyways, I was doing all of this. So I started to realize, holy crap, I love this. And it lit me up. It lit me up. And how this all came together was I went to Funnel Hacking Live 2 years ago. And here I am on this journey of just doing the exact opposite of what I would normally do. I gave away $30,000 that year to a family that needed it for health insurance. I invested like another 20 or 30 grand. I'm like, you guys, I'm literally like selling stock. I'm selling whatever I can to go to Tony Robbins experiences. I accidentally signed up for 2 CCX. Did you guys know that?
Accidentally.
Yeah. I ended up accidentally walking up on stage. I thought it's kind of a long story, but I thought I was raising my hand because I had committed to doing the One Funnel Away Challenge, which is the $129 product, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like having people walk up on stage, and I'm like, why are there only 50 people up here? You guys are a bunch of losers. It's just, it's $129. And so as I'm standing there, I'm realizing, wait, I'm standing here with people that are committing to a $32,000 a year program.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, again, I was like, I wouldn't normally do this. This defies logic. So then I did that. And that was the epiphany, guys. That event showed me, it's a much longer story, but in that event, I was seeing people that did not align to what my initial belief of success was, right? That success was corporate, publicly traded, like high energy, drive the Tesla. That's a millionaire.
Yeah.
But here I was watching people that were totally understated. They had no social media following. They weren't influencers.
Yeah.
And here they were making multiple $1 million a year in people's lives. Did I break up a little bit?
Is it
The audio is perfect.
Yeah.
So
I did.
I mean, the picture is like the most intense look. You're giving people like, hey, listen and take notes because this is what matters right here.
exactly. So I think we still got you. Let's see. Can you hear us?
I can hear you just fine. Yeah, I shut off my video for a second because it was getting choppy.
Yeah, it's all good. We can hear you.
It's all good. So, the camera is just going to have to focus on Fonzie's pimple, but that's, it's all good.
Yeah. By the way, we haven't talked to Philippe yet. Fonzie's pimple.
Exactly. So how you doing?
Wow, we named it and everything. I see how it is, guys. I see how it is.
No, man, but I feel like, dude, this story is so powerful.
Yep.
Also, it shows that being vulnerable, accepting that, because we talked a lot about change. We talked a lot about how do we go from that place that we thought it was the path for us, and when something big happens, we're chatting off camera about what happened with our business too. Mm-hmm. And how do you go from that place, change your perspective, and try new things where it's gonna show you a new path, right? And we gotta be open about it. And the fact that you came on and literally took that your own and be like, screw it, I'm just gonna do these things and try things out, and now you're able to give that message with your story, with your powerful moment that happened, and signing up and being honest, not only with yourself but with the people that you help. Now I believe that the people that you're able to help are gonna actually stick by you because you live that, you share that, and a lot of people are so scared to do that. So I just want to say thank you for sharing that wonderful story, because I hope somebody that's listening right now take that as an example and dives into the thing that they think is not possible, that they think is not the path for them, because it might actually be the path for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would, like, if I were to distill everything down I just said for the past 20 minutes, it's do the things that make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is that simple, actually, right? But we complicate it so much.
It's not easy. Again, I say this a lot, right? It's simple. It's not easy. It's not easy to stand there. You guys, I have hugged my ex-wife is engaged to be married. The man that she left me for, I have nothing but love for both of them. It took a lot of work to get there.
Yeah.
But that was uncomfortable work. To hug that man was uncomfortable. To think about doing that. And now it's like, no issue. Next.
Yeah.
And I apply that. It's been so cool to see that across business, across fitness. All of that general concept of doing what makes you feel uncomfortable has changed my life, and that's why the core of what I teach is not the tools, it's the mindset first.
Amazing.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love it. Actually, it's funny that you say mindset first.
Yeah.
Literally today I received an email which subject line was mindset first, like the same exact thing. And it was actually an amazing email. So I'm like, well, I think there's a message today that I need to, take it, because clearly it's like hitting me from so many sides. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Dude,
yeah, I love it.
I think we're going to have to do a part 2 to this, because there's so much more to explore.
I've got another 15 minutes, by the way. I just adjusted in
beautiful. Thank you.
My spirit of delegation.
Beautiful. So, dude, thank you for sharing that story, because it's really, really hard to accept those moments. Like for us, it's not easy to share that, especially like when you're in a world that everybody has access to so much, especially with the information, with the content that you share. And we're actually having this conversation with one of our clients, like, just be yourself. Why do we have to mask ourselves? Because at the end of the day, you're communicating with the dream person that you want to help with. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that have been in the position that you have, and you have the tools and the experience to help them out the best way you can, because you lived it. We could see it in your face when you were telling the story, the passion, right? And that's like a massive magnet.
There's a phrase that you said that stuck out to me. You said, when you were left with yourself, that's when you learn how to be you. And I think that's important, just because we live in a society that is just go, just so fast paced, right? I mean, you describe it perfectly when you're working at Salesforce. Wake up at 5 a.m, work out, drive your bike, work until 9, get home. And then you barely had time with your family. So you never had time to actually slow down and think, right? On what is it that I want, or who is it that I want to become? And I find that super interesting, right? Because again, there's a lot of people out there that preach hustle, go. And I feel like there's not enough people talking about slowing down and learning to be yourself. So in regards to that, what would you say to someone? How could you change someone's belief that they think they always need to be on the go and on the hustle?
I think you can argue both. I do think there's a time and place for both. The analogy that I go back to is, think of everyone has a body. Everyone can think about how their body works. Okay.
Yeah.
If you were to run a marathon, what is the next thing you should be doing? What does your body demand of you through the form of pain after that marathon? Does it demand that you run another marathon, or does it ask you to rest?
Yeah. Rest. My brother can attest to that. He was in bed for 3 weeks after his run.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I love this. I love that phrase. Sorry, and I wanna highlight again. What is the next thing that pain is telling you to do?
Yeah, I have been playing with this. You can disagree with me, and that's fine. I think everyone's built differently, right? But for me, a guy who has hustled nonstop and never read fiction for 13 years of his adult career life is happier, more successful, and impacting more lives than I ever have, and I do less.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So it works. It works for me.
Yeah.
I literally, it's funny. I realized it today. I was exercising, and I've always struggled with fitness. It's been a cyclical thing for me.
Yeah.
I would have, I would like do P90X, and I'm a very like intense personality. So I would go all in for 90 days, like all in, guys. The diet, the movements, everything, and then I would crash.
Yeah.
And I'd gain the weight back. I literally did this cyclically for, again, like 10, 12 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then I got turned on to this thing called intermittent fasting and reverse pyramid training. So without getting into the details of that, I mean, you can research it if you want, if you're listening to this, but I posted on Instagram today because I've been experimenting with this theory, right, if you will, of creating space, doing less, not more.
Yeah.
And I've experimented with it with my spirituality, with my, you know, obviously just kind of mental presence. I've been experimenting with business ideas and goals and projects, as well as fitness. And so here's like over the past 3 months, I work out 3 days a week. That's it. In the gym, 3 days a week, 45 minutes. And I just lift really heavy weights, like compound movements.
Okay.
You know, I'll do like a heavy squat, heavy deadlift. Today I was doing weighted chin-ups. So I put 70 pounds around my waist and I do chin-ups. And I'm not sharing those numbers. I mean, I don't care how many chin-ups you do.
Zero.
For me,
Zero.
No interest, right? It's probably not an interest to you. I love to move my body. Move my body. I love to be able to lift my body like that. But here's why I share this. It's not to gloat, honestly. I really have no ego.
No.
We love it. I love it. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I realized when I look at my progression, here I am working out less than most would recommend. And I'm doing 3 exercises in each day. So again, I'm not in the gym. I'm not working out my biceps and my triceps. I'm just doing massive, large movements.
Yeah.
And I have gained strength every single week.
Wow.
Every week. It's insane. I'm working out less than the majority of the people, and I'm getting stronger. And I see that in all areas of my life.
I think this is such an important point, and I'm glad you brought it up. The fact that is like what works for you. Right now, we live in a society where everybody tells you what to do. Like, you know, or everybody, let me rephrase that. Everybody's searching for somebody to tell them what to do. And then when they find something and then execute and they don't get the results, they blame the other person. And they don't look back at themselves and be like, what actually works for me? Am I willing to try this? And if it doesn't work, try something different. And if it doesn't work, try something different. And if it doesn't work, try something different until I find what works.
Yeah. Well, I think that too comes to taking responsibility of your own life. You know, I mean, you cannot go, if you know you're going to go and try multiple things, then you cannot also go and be blaming everybody else for the results that you are getting personally, right? Like, own your results and be like, okay, what am I doing wrong? You know, maybe the methodology that person is teaching is not the right for me at the moment. Okay, let me go and check who has it, right?
Yeah.
And I want to clarify this, the 0 that my brother mentioned, just so you know, that's the 0 number of the chin-ups that he can do.
Yeah, exactly.
He can do 0 chin-ups.
Right now, 0. I might be rolling down the street soon. You know, I used to play. I used to play soccer, and now I keep eating like I was playing soccer, but I'm not playing. So you know, it's okay. It's coming.
And actually, I want to, you know, go back to the less is more. I think that's an interesting paradox, right? I mean, less is more, and you describe it through this analogy of like working out, right? Which I think is amazing. Honestly, I think I'm a little bit like you, that I get all into something, you know, and then I stop completely. Fun, super random story. The other day, we were like trying to get into rollerblading. Dude, I was rollerblading for like...
Oh my gosh, that's coming back.
Yeah, it is coming back. And I was like rollerblading to the office. Dude, and I literally ate it. Like I was on the middle of the street. There's like this little slope. And I just like flipped. Dude, and I landed on my back in top of my backpack with the computer. I like messed up my wrist. And I haven't rollerbladed since. I was like, nope, I'm done. Next thing, right? But where I wanted to come is the kind of like, I love what you said about there's a time and place for both hustle and kind of like that stillness. And I'm going to be honest, it's the first time I hear that. And I really like it because I'm relating it to something we've heard in one of our previous episodes, which is kind of like a lot of people, they want balance, right? And we've heard Myron Golden say, you know, that like balance is like seasons of life. Like there's a season where you have no balance and you're working, and then there's a season that you get, to take some time off and whatnot. So I'm actually relating that to what you said of pretty much the hustle and stillness. And if I'm being honest, it makes a lot of sense. Like sometimes, yes, you need to, okay, let me slow down, plan, come everything together, give stuff some real thought, and then it's like action mode, some time to execute. So I love it. And looking back at it, I think burnout, some people that feel burnout might be that they are mistaking their seasons, right? They are maybe in a season where they need to slow down and they're trying to push that hustle, go.
I have a lot of friends that are, well, not a lot. I have 5 core friends in my network right now that are close friends that are really into astrology. And they take it one, based on your stars, right? So I know very little about this, but I know that they've gotten it down to the minute you were born, where you were born, like the city you were born in, the minute you were born, the planets were in a certain rotation, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And based on that, there's astrology believes that your life has these cycles. And so there's multiple times where they'll say, I just realized, I'm trying to produce something in my cycle of rest and I didn't realize it. So I don't know if that resonates with anyone, but
100%. We actually have a team member that she is big into astrology. So the fact that you mentioned that, it's incredible. And every time we go through these morning meetings and we explain what's going on in the business, like, hey, how can we do this? And immediately she goes like, oh, that's why X, Y, and Z in astrology is happening right now. And we're like, oh, well, that makes sense. So so she's now, looking up for us on that side. We're like, hey, guys, just prepare for this. Just make sure that you have everything in place to make sure that it works. And it has been working, which is amazing. Be open to new ideas, right? Well,
I have a quick tip. I know you guys have a question, but I have a quick tip for someone as we wrap up this topic of creating space.
Yeah.
There is a book called The Artist's Way. And one of the first 2 or 3 chapters, the author talks about, I forget her name and I'm sorry. But she talks about this practice was called the morning pages. And I have been doing this and this has been a life changer. It's funny. My coach asked me recently, she's like, Nathan, you're getting so much done, yet you seem really relaxed. What are you doing? I said, morning pages.
Awesome.
And it's really simple. It is, you sit down and you set a timer for, I think it's 20 minutes. It might be 30, but I do 20 minutes. Set a timer for 20 minutes, and you just write in a journal. And you just write anything that comes to mind. And that's the cool thing about it. This isn't about dear journal. I mean, you read through mine, mine will say, my body feels like shit this morning. It's like, that's some I just start oh my God, I'm exhausted. Or, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. But I just start writing.
Yeah.
And you don't take notes after the fact. You just write. And what's really cool is, as I've been doing this, ideas pop into my head. People that I have to reach out to come into my mind, and I'll take a little note on the side, reach out to so and so, and then I'll go back to my journaling. But there is nothing else. There's no distractions. This is not digital.
Yeah.
I've tried that. Doesn't work. Get rid of this. Turn your cell phone off. You literally just take your notepad, paper and pen, and just write old school, and it'll change your life.
Love it.
Mic drop. And podcast. See you guys.
And podcast. That's it, dude. I think, everything that you've said is very powerful. Like you speak from a place of passion. You've been there. You wanna help people.
Passion and action.
Passion and action and execution. We were diving into your show earlier this morning. And I landed on the episode that you said, less is more, right? Like, do the not to-do list, right? And we're so caught up on all these things that we got to do. And sometimes we get super overwhelmed. So I think that's a very, very smart move. And not a lot of people think about that. So thank you.
It's a balancing act. It really is.
Exactly.
There's a book that I read that it took me down another path for 6 months. And that was David Goggins. You Can't Hurt Me. You read that one?
Haven't read it, but
it's on the list.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of his interviews.
Okay, yeah. So you get it, right? It's the complete opposite of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But what's cool though is in that book he actually talks about yeah, if you're not familiar with the book, it's basically this guy is a crazy ex-Navy SEAL
Yeah,
who just demolishes his body. I mean,
Literally.
for him is like, you know, how fast can I do 100 burpees, you know, in under 5 minutes?
Exactly.
Anyways, but he talks about his body breaking down and having to start a yoga practice because he couldn't physically move anymore. He had killed him. So
I think this goes back to, you know, finding what works for you. And, you know, obviously, you know, the focus of the show, not only entrepreneurship, but like with those little actions. Like sometimes we get caught up in like, oh man, like this is not working. Should I keep doing it? Like, is this actually impacting me negatively? If it does, it's okay to move on and try something different.
I think is equally important to learn when to quit certain things. I don't think that's often talked about, but a lot of people are like, yeah, you know, like stick to that together. Like, hey, if it's not working after a while, like, and it's, you know, making you miserable, probably it's not the right thing to stick to. So it's probably okay to quit that activity. Don't quit your goal and your dreams, right? Like find a way. And we always say consistency is key, and I agree.
Yeah.
But
I
again,
like
if you're being consistent with that activity, but then it's just making you miserable, say, okay, time to quit this one and move on to the next one.
Yeah. So Nathan, we have a couple questions for you. As we wrap up the show. The one is, obviously the show is packed with like action points. I feel like it's like we're gonna have to like do all the notes. But what is something that people can do today to, you know, move on their journey, right? Like if they are in the situation like you were, what is something that they can execute today that's gonna help them move forward?
All right, do your morning minutes. That's one. This isn't mind-blowing, super tactical, executional stuff.
Love it.
If you don't have space in your day, give yourself 20 to 30 minutes first thing in the morning without picking up your phone and write freely. Let yourself just be. Create that space. So that's number one, action step number one. And then the other step is to start getting used to doing things that make you uncomfortable. Tim Ferriss, if you look up, actually 4 Hour Body, I believe is the book where he starts to talk a lot about this practice. And I loved it. And I've done this. I mean, I'll give you an example of one of the exercises that I do to get my mind used to being uncomfortable. In the middle of a grocery store, while waiting in line to check out, I'll lay on the ground for 10 seconds and not move, on my back, looking straight up at the ceiling.
I would love to see this live. Like I would love to be in that store and watching you do this, and then just look at the other people looking at you. Because I'm sure that happens.
Well, you can do it, and then you can look around and see what people.
I know.
That's good. You can do it.
Love it.
Get Philippe to do it.
We should make this a challenge.
Yeah. But it's the simple things like that.
Yeah.
You know, I was riding my bike at a park, running my dog, and I went by this beautiful woman, and I literally smelled her scent after I passed her, and I'm like, screw this. I turned around. Was incredibly uncomfortable. We're walking, and I was like, hey, I don't mean to interrupt. I had to come back and say hi. And, you know, we've been dating ever since. So it's like,
good.
Wow.
You know, you got to do what makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's true.
I love that.
I'm gonna write that one down.
Yeah, you know, Fonzie's recently single, so he's definitely taking note on that one. Don't
give yourself space first, dude.
That's true. No, I agree. I agree 100%. That'll be post pimple.
Yeah. Just make sure that pimple is not there.
Right now, you're dating Philippe.
Exactly.
That's true. Yeah, we're in a close relationship right now,
dude. I love it. Dude, Nathan, the next question is, obviously we know that you have an amazing podcast. I would recommend everybody listening now to go check him out. Let me find it so I don't.
The Creative Entrepreneur Blueprint
Podcast. Pim.
Yep.
I love it. Yeah, we're big fans, by the way. Like, we're already like subscribed and ready to go. Where will you be?
Not a big enough fan where you can't recite the name.
I know.
That's true.
For the record.
Roast him. That's right.
It's okay. I accept.
Content is profit.
Dude, we're live.
Yours is easier to say.
Nerves just like hit me. That's all. I'm
teasing.
But no, you're right. No, but you're right. You're right. I literally binge listened like 3 episodes like last night. So it's like, oh my God, it's good. It's really good. The not to do list like really like hit me. I'm like, I need to do that because my list is massive. And again, like when you don't achieve all of that, then where's the mindset?
So
If focus on that, on the not done, except, instead of the done. So it really hit me. So thank you for bringing that point. Anyways, so amazing podcast. You publish regularly. You've committed to this. Where will you be without publishing?
I don't have a. I'll take a step back. Here I am like disqualifying my answer, which is just another example of the ego trying to kind of take over and discredit myself. You guys, I wouldn't have the confidence. I wouldn't have the experience. I wouldn't have articulated my voice. What I mean by voice is you as an individual, as a brand, have a voice. It's what's attractive to your customers. And you can't get to that place, and I'm still refining it. That confidence and that voice comes through repetition. It comes through trial and error. I wouldn't be able to stand here and comfortably have a very vulnerable, powerful conversation with you guys. Like, this is not stage voice Nathan.
Yeah.
This is my biggest hang up with content right now and what people post. It's not authentic.
Yep.
Yes. Amen to that, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's funny. I've been on podcasts where you turn on the podcast and then it's like, hey, welcome to the podcast. And I'm going to be your host for the next 20 minutes.
Legit, the radio voice.
Yeah, that was my radio voice in the 5 episodes we haven't published ever. So.
Dude,
that's what's cool. I loved like your intro, like you stuttered. Like, that's awesome. It's human. We're all human.
yeah, you had to see Wednesdays. it was horrible.
We're gonna Fonzie completely messed it up, but I think we're gonna launch a contest on like everybody like pointing out those blooper parts.
Is the fail forward part, right? That we gotta embrace that
yeah.
we're gonna make mistakes, and honestly, I feel that makes it more authentic and connects with people. And I'm gonna attest to what you just said, because I mean, we met you in real life, right? And we were in that photo shoot, and dude, your energy, everything is exactly the same as you're portraying it right now through the podcast. And I think that is so key what you mentioned. Like getting to know your voice through publishing. Honestly, I think that has been one of the biggest, most important lessons we've learned through our publishing journey as well, which is kind of like finding who we are and learning how to express your ideas, because that is huge.
Massive.
Yeah. You get to try out stories and see what responds. Because, I mean, in full transparency, I haven't figured it out.
Yeah, it's a journey.
I'm not generating any money from my content. I'm sharing content right now for myself.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like this would be helpful, so I'm going to share this.
Yeah, I find it's funny, like a lot of people, when they see their name, right? Content is profit. We define profit as not only money, but what are we learning? What's the value that we're creating while we do this thing? Because this whole show started for us. Started to, like you said, find our voice, get comfortable, learn a ton from other people like you and the other guests that have been here on the show. So for us, that's profit. The relationships that we might be able to build, we never know where life is going to take us. But what an incredible way to share knowledges, agree or disagree, right?
Yep.
And it's been an amazing, wonderful journey. And I'm sure that you've had probably the same experience. And a lot of people, if not most of the guests, have said what you said. I'm not perfect. I'm still developing. I'm still working on this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you for that, Nate. I know that we need to wrap this thing up. This up. My English is not very good looking.
Hold on, real quick. I'm going to let you ask that question, but I've never actually gotten to the end of one of your episodes. Do you guys do like a high energy outro?
You're about to see.
Oh, baby. Surprise.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So
sorry, go ahead, Luis.
I know we went super deep today. I love it.
Dude, I honestly, thank you so much. I love the conversation. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where
I'm honored to be
can people find you, Nate? Like where, if they're interested to learn more about you, learn more about your business, learn more about like what you share with the world, where can people go?
I think the best spot is going to be the Creative Entrepreneur Blueprint. You should be able to get access to it on any platform where podcasts are streaming. That is my baby. I've got the most amazing guests on there. I also do a series of sessions I call Morning Minutes, and it's me just riffing on an idea first thing in the morning after I've journaled. So take a listen there. I put my heart and soul into that thing, and I think you'll get the most out of that.
I love it.
I love it. I think that the morning minutes might be like our Tropic Thunder Thursdays.
Yeah,
Ish.
kinda. It could be no,
But better.
No, I don't think so. I think it's different concepts. But I love the idea. You know, we actually recently started a new segment called Content Bites, where literally we just like bring people. It doesn't matter, you know, how far into their publishing journey they have been, and then we just talk about anything. And dude, we've had some really cool conversations with some people. So
I know, man.
I do encourage people to actually come up with their own, you know, morning minutes, like Nate here, and you know, those little things.
Go execute,
yeah, those little things actually like bring so much joy.
Go dancing. Go smell some women in the park. That'd be a little creepy, but
Hey, I'll add there, you know, like, sorry, this is my third tip, right? So the first one was create space, morning pages.
yeah.
Second one was do things that make you uncomfortable. But the third one, to finish this off, is don't be obsessed over the outcomes. Do you remember when we were kids, you guys? Do you remember, like, honestly, like 3 to 5 years old, we would do anything.
Anything.
There was never a voice in our head that said, that's not possible. We'd jump off the bunk beds because we thought we could fly. Do you remember doing all that crazy stuff?
Oh yeah.
We were Power Rangers. That was our thing.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I think if we can go back that childlike state when we go through life, I'm convinced that not only will we be more successful, but you're obviously be more joyful.
Yeah.
All right.
I love it. Dude,
Yeah, thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
sharing
much. Don't hang up. We
Thank
have
you.
2 minutes with you after this. But with that being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the Content is Profit podcast. Please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Follow us on social media at BizBrosCo.
Let's go, guys. And if you found this episode impactful, which I am sure you did, don't forget to share it and leave a 5-star review.
Boom!
Let's go.
Love it. Love it.